Today we're going to be taking a look at our homework for Lesson 10, Conversation 4. And this time we took a look at some special things that you can say, some tricky things, and then something that you can use to help you give advice to people. So we took a look at collective nouns. And these are things that you may have learned before, but there are a couple tricky ways to use collective nouns. A collective noun is when you have a noun that is talking about a group of people or a group of things, right? And in American English, we usually think of those things as singular. So we use a singular verb. A collective noun in American English is usually singular, like my family is going to do this. While in England, they might say, like, the team are playing in Chelsea. To me, that sounds really weird. It's like, what? A team is one thing. And so I say, oh, the team should be the team is. Come on. But an English person might say, well, a team is a group of people. There are many people. So the team are doing something. Oh, just a different way of thinking. So Americans think of something like a team as one thing. So we use a singular. But the British or the English think of a team as many people together. So they use are. But in American English, that's what we're focused on, right? So collective nouns usually take a singular verb, meaning is or something like that. And then we took a look at words that can be always plural, words that can be singular, words that end with S, right? So when we see an S at the end of a word, we sometimes will think, oh, that must be plural. It must mean many, right? But not all the time. Sometimes a word that ends with S, yeah, it could be one thing, like a bus, or it could be buses, meaning many. But then there are some words that are always plural, like clothes. If you say cloth, take away that ES, it's something totally different. So these are my clothes. And you don't need to say clothes is. You don't need to add the extra ES. So some words are always plural. And then some S words can be singular, like the news. The news is blah, 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 blah. Okay? Or $60 is too much money, something like that. So some words that end with S can be singular. And then we learned that there are some special words that end with ICS, like politics, economics, acoustics, physics. Those words could be singular or plural. And that's usually, those are kind of advanced words a lot of the time, but you probably know some of them, right? And then last but not least, we took a look at talking about people in general, right? And the most common way to do that is using the word you. Oh, you should do this, blah, 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 blah. A more formal way would be using the word one. One must always remember to blah, 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 blah. Or if you're talking about people in general, but not you, like, oh, those people over there, you can use they. And you don't have to say exactly who it is. They say blah, 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 meaning people out there. Okay? So these are all the things we learned together. And then we wrapped it up with a dialogue with you and Bob. And this time you decide, hey, let's not do a movie. Let's change it up. Let's do something different. Let's make a TV series. And so you and Bob start talking about making a TV series, right? And you decide, hey, what if we do an autobiography? An autobiography means a story that's about the person who made the story, right? And so then you and Bob start reminiscing about your history together. So we went back and remembered some of your adventures with Bob. So some of the adventures with Bob were, well, the beginning was meeting Bob at a house party, and Bob was the bartender. And then you and Bob went to a candy store, a night market, a bookstore, and then you tried a claw machine, and then Bob went with you to look at apartments, and Bob helped you try to find a good place to live. And then Bob went to the doctor, well, Bob was talking to you about health too, right? And so you were trying to take all these home remedies, and Bob was like, wait, that's not a good idea. And then Bob tried to hypnotize you. So lots of fun, silly adventures with Bob. So lots of stories with you and Bob and lots of adventures together. So let's get started on our homework. We have quite a few things to look at. So first up is Lesson 10, Conversation 4, Part 2, talking about collective nouns. So be careful if it's a group of people, but it's using one word, it might be singular, okay? I think most of you got it. Okay, the first sentence is, 这间补习班的师资群看起来很专业. Okay, so what word do we use for people who work at a school? Okay, the way I wrote this is, the faculty at this cram school looks really professional. The faculty at this cram school looks really professional. Okay, so our group word, our collective noun, is faculty. And faculty means the staff of a school. So I did see someone say the staff at this school. That's slightly different, but it works. It's okay. So what's the difference between staff and faculty? Well, the staff means everyone who works at that place. So if you go to a store, the staff means the salespeople, the people at the checkout counter, the managers, all of those people. The staff at a school means everyone who works there. So yes, it means the principal, the teachers, but it also means like the cleaners or the people making lunch for the students. So the staff means more people than the faculty. The faculty means the teachers and the principal and people like that. So staff, faculty. So faculty is a little more focused. So the faculty at this cram school looks really professional. Okay. And so the school, what kind of school is it? So in Chinese, it's 补习班. Now, there's not a really great way to translate this idea into English. So I use cram school. That's the most common way to translate 补习班. There aren't really cram schools in America. So this idea, if you talk to an American about a cram school, they might not totally understand what you mean. So the best way to translate 补习班 is cram school. But you can also write it as 补习班, which would be written as like this, Buxiban. People who speak English in Taiwan will use the phrase 补习班 and say, oh, I work at a 补习班. Because English doesn't really have this cram school idea, because America and England, I think also, don't really have cram schools. Kids go to school, they might go to an after-school program, they might go to a tutor, but not a cram school, not the same as in Taiwan. Okay? So the faculty at this cram school looks really professional. And I use the word at, the faculty at this cram school. So a school is a place, and it's not a very big place, so we can use the word at. So I take a class at that school. That teacher works at that school. The faculty at this cram school. So I saw some of you use in, and that's okay too. That's just, instead of saying this school is one place, you're saying that it's in the school. In both work, the faculty in this cram school. Okay? And then I also saw someone say the faculty of this cram school. That's okay too. Just different ways to think of it. Is it one place? At. Is it a place and you're talking about in? Or does the cram school have the faculty of the cram school? All of these are okay. Okay. And then the faculty of this cram school looks really professional. So here you can use looks. So you're looking at them and you get a feeling about them. They look really professional. Oh, did you notice what I just did? Using the word faculty, it's singular. The faculty looks professional. But then if we use a pronoun, we use the word they. They look really professional. Why? It's so annoying, so tricky, but that's just English, right? So the faculty looks, they look. So we think about them as a group of people when we use a pronoun they, okay? So that's one of these tricky things with English. So looks means you're looking at them and you get that feeling about them. I also saw someone use the word seems. The faculty seems really professional. That works too. You get that feeling, they seem that way, okay? I did see someone say the faculty looks like really professional. So be careful here. When we use looks like, it means this thing looks like this other thing. So be careful. Professional is not a thing. So if you're describing it, we say they look professional or the faculty looks professional. Looks like would mean like my phone looks like an iPhone or something like that. Two things look like the other, okay? Yeah, and so professional means they seem like they know what they're doing. They are very good at their jobs, okay? I saw someone use the word vocational instead of professional, but we don't really use vocational. That is not very common. Vocational is usually for a school. Like a school is a vocational school where they're teaching you to learn how to work on a job. They don't teach you regular school things, okay? So we want to use professional here, okay? Next up is, our second sentence is, 今年我们家族旅游要去台东，大部分家族成员都会参加。So, again, we have a collective noun, a group of people. That's one thing. And what thing is that? Family. So I wrote, our family's going on a trip to Taitung this year. Now, I have trouble saying that city name too, Taitung. But I always will say Taidong even if I'm speaking English. Our family's going on a trip to Taitung this year. Most of our family members will join us. Okay? So, our family. So you can say our family. You could say my family, that's okay. So if you're talking about yourself, you can say my family's going on a trip. If you're talking about you with other people, you can say our family. That both are basically the same. So our family is going on a trip. So family is a group of people, but we think of it as one thing. So our family is going on a trip. So family, it's many people, but we think of it as one thing, singular verb. You could keep this simple and say our family is going to Taitung this year. Or you could say our family is going to travel to Taitung this year. All of those are okay. I did see someone say, we're going to have our family trip. Our family trip. That's okay. But if you say that phrase, it sounds like it's a regular thing. So I think the sentence was, our family is going on our family trip to Taitung this year, or something like that. But our family trip sounds like it's a regular thing. Maybe you go every year on a big trip, and the person you're talking to knows you do that, okay? So our family trip is okay, but it sounds like it's something that happens often. And then I saw someone say a family travel. Now, we don't usually use travel and family together. It's not wrong, but it's just not a common phrase. A family travel, it would be better to say a family trip, okay? Trip means one adventure with your family. And then, if you're talking about the people in your family, one by one, you can say family members. So the second part is most of our family members will join us, okay? Or you could say most of them will join us, okay? I did see someone say the members. The members, most of the members will join us. When we're talking about a family, we wouldn't separate it and just say the members. You would say the family members, okay? So if you say members by itself, it sounds like people in a group. But if we're talking about family, always say my family members, okay? And then last part, most of our family members will join us. You could say will go with us or will take part in the trip. I also saw someone say most of our family members will join it. And that's okay to say it meaning the trip, but I think it's a little bit better if you say join us. So you're focused on the group. So most of the people will join us. So most of them will join this group rather than focusing on joining the trip, okay? So both are okay, but I think join us is a little bit better. Okay, next up is店里所有店员都打扮成圣诞老公公. Ho ho ho. So this is about Christmas, and this is what might happen at some stores in the US or some schools too. But in a store, what could you say? If you're there at that time, you could say the whole staff is dressed as Santa Claus. The whole staff is dressed as Santa Claus. Or all of the staff members are dressed up as Santa Claus. So staff is a group, but the group we think of as one thing. This is a tricky thing that many people will forget about. Staff does not mean one person. One person is a staff member, right? So the group is called the staff. We want to say the whole staff. So all of the people that work at the store. So the whole staff is dressed as Santa Claus. And staff is a group, but it's one thing, so we use is. But then you could talk about the staff members, one by one by one by one. So all of the staff members are dressed up as Santa Claus. And we learned before about putting the word all before nouns, right? We have all of the staff members. But what can you do? Well, you can take away the word of. You can say all the staff members. That's totally fine. And then you could take away the word the too. All staff members. So using the word all is flexible. So two ways to think of it. The whole staff, this complete group, or all of the staff members. Him, her, him, her. All of them together, okay? And let's see. I used present tense. The whole staff is dressed as Santa or are dressed up as Santa. Both are okay. And I'm talking about now, like I'm standing in the shop looking at the people. But you could use past tense. They were dressed up, or the staff was dressed up, or the members were dressed up. Okay? One thing to notice, I use is dressed and are dressed up. Is it any different? Not really. When we're talking about a costume, saying is dressed as Santa Claus or is dressed up as Santa Claus, same thing, whatever. A costume, it doesn't matter, okay? But dressed up is usually for a costume. So if you're talking about just regular clothes, you could say, oh, Kyle is dressed in a blue shirt. But you wouldn't say Kyle is dressed up in a blue shirt. Dressed up is usually for a costume, okay? Now, I did see someone say the whole staff is dressing as Santa Claus. Now, we don't want to use the continuous here. That means they're putting it on while you're in the store. Oh, so you're in the store and people are putting on their Santa costumes. Oh, geez. They're a little bit too late to the party. Okay? Next up is 我们是同一组的，应该帮助彼此. We're on the same team. We should help each other. Okay? So here we have the group word team. So we don't have to worry about the verb with team because we're starting with we. We are on the same team. But then even though it's a team, we still think of it as we. It is a group word. If team is the focus, it's singular. But if you're thinking about the people, you can still use the word we, okay? So this is a pretty common way to say this. You'd say, we're on the same team. This is a common phrase. So you can think of this sentence structure, we're on the same team, as like a set thing. And this is really common if you're working with somebody or someone starts arguing with you. Any situation, you don't actually have to be on a team together. You could use this to mean we're on the same side. We are thinking the same way. Maybe you and your friend are arguing about whatever. You can say, hey, we're on the same team. That means like we're thinking about the same thing. We should be working together, right? It doesn't have to be an actual sports team or team at work. It could just be anything. It means we agree. We're on the same team, okay? And we should help each other. Now, each other is something we learned before, right? And what does each other mean? We should help each other. That means one person helps the other person. The other person helps the first person. Help each other. It goes back and forth, okay? Some of you use the word group. We're in the same group. And that's fine. If you're in a group at work or you're studying together, you can use the word group. But in general, you can use the word team for anything. Like, we're on the same team. We should be, we both are thinking the same way. I like you, you like me. We should not be fighting. That kind of idea. Okay? We're in the same group. We are in the same group. We are a team. We are in a team. Now, we are in a team is what somebody wrote. Usually we write we're on a team. There's not really a good reason for it, but team usually goes with on. We're on a team, okay? And then we should help each other. We are a team and is supposed to help each other. Okay. Now, this is a thing to be careful about. One of you wrote, we are a team and is supposed to help each other. Now, remember, team, yes, it can be one thing, but remember the subject is we. We are a team and are supposed to help each other. So there's no subject after and, but the subject is the we at the beginning. We are a team and we are supposed to help each other. So be careful. There's an and in the middle. You have to match both verbs to the word we. Okay? So next up is talking about words that end with S, but they can be a little bit tricky. Some of them are always plural, some are always singular, some you're not sure. It could be either or, okay? So our first sentence is 你为什么裸体呀？你衣服嘞? Oh, my eyes. Oh, God. Why are you naked? Where are your clothes? So hopefully this has never happened to you. Oh, God. Why? So why are you naked? Where are your clothes? So here, clothes is a word that is always plural. We always have that S on it. My clothes are over there. Oops. So why are you naked is the first question. So naked means you have no clothes on. there's another way to say this. You could say in the nude. Why are you in the nude? Which one of you wrote, that's correct, but it's a little more formal. It sounds a little old-fashioned. People will usually use the word naked, okay? Why are you naked? Or, oh, there was a naked person on the beach. Oh, God. So, why are you naked? Where are your clothes? So, the second sentence is the tricky one. Where are your clothes? So, when we are making a question, the subject is actually not the word where. The subject is the word clothes. Where are your clothes? Because the answer will be, my clothes are over there. So a couple people wrote is. Where is your clothes? But clothes is always plural. It could just mean one piece of clothing, but your clothes is always with the word are. Where are your clothes? Okay? So next is 这个消息太令人震惊了. Wow, this news is really shocking. So like I just said, news is always singular. So this news is really shocking. Wow. So no big problems here. This news is really shocking. You can use present tense if you're reacting to it and someone told you, oh, did you know that blah, blah, blah happened? You go, wow, this news is really shocking. Okay? If you're talking about what you saw on the news earlier today, maybe you're telling your friend, say, oh, I saw this on the news. It was really shocking. Okay? That would be okay too. So is or was depends on what the situation is. If you just heard it now and you're reacting, use is. If you're talking about what you saw on TV, use was. And then shocking. Shocking should have ing. So we've talked before about shocking versus shocked. Well, not this word. We talked about bored, boring, excited, exciting, interested, interesting. So if it has ed, it's your feeling. I feel shocked. But if you're describing something, you use ing. That news is shocking. Okay? Oh, I feel bored. Ugh. That movie was boring. Okay? I feel excited. Wow. That music is exciting. Okay? So ed is a feeling, ing is talking about something. Okay. And then a few people said this news is too shocking. Oh, my voice. Ooh. This news is too shocking. But in Chinese, you'll use tai a lot for something that's really shocking. But in English, the most common would be to use really. Wow, that's really shocking. Or very shocking. Or super shocking. Okay? Too shocking means like it's too much. You can't handle it. That's okay, but there are better words or more common words. Well, I have a good question from Tyler. Hi, Kyle. How can I talk about more than one news? Well, there's no such thing as more than one news. News is a word meaning all of the news. Okay. What you want to talk about is a news story. So if you're reading in the newspaper, that's reading the news. But one part of it would be a news story. So, oh, there was a story about blah, 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 blah. So you can use the word story, news story, or just shorten it to story. Oh, there was a story about a stock that went crazy last week. Or there was a news story about the president signing a paper, something like that. So usually we use news story. So this news story is really interesting. Okay? So the word news is, it can be used to talk about one thing you heard, but the word, you can't say one news, two news. That doesn't work. You'd say one news story, two news stories. That's all the news. Okay? It's a little bit tricky. News is an uncountable noun. So you can't have more than one. You need measure word. Okay. Hopefully that helps. Let me know. Great question. Thank you, Tyler. So next up is 这一系列书这一系列书花了我3天时间才看完. So there's two ways to think of this sentence. You could have the series as the subject or I as the subject. Both are okay. So this book series took me 3 days to finish. So this book series took me 3 days to finish. The other way to think of it is, what did I do? I spent 3 days finishing this book series. So I spent 3 days finishing this book series. So here, the main focus is book series. So a series means many things together. So a book series might be 3 books or 5 books or 8 books or whatever. I recently finished a book series that had 8 books. Whew. And I listened to the audiobooks and it was amazing, but it took a long, long time. That book series took me almost a year to finish. Whew. So this book series took me 3 days to finish. So this person's reading really, really, really quickly. Okay? And so a book series, it ends with an S because it's, well, that's the word, but it's one thing. A series is like a group of things, so we use took with the, well, took in past tense doesn't change from singular to plural, right? My bad. But book series is singular. So this book series, okay? And so if you were talking about present tense or something, you would use the singular verb. But in past tense, took, because it's finished, you just have took, whether it's singular or plural, right? So you could also say this series of books. So book series, series of books. Same thing, okay? Not really any different. And then took. So when we're spending time on something, you can say something took time or I spent time. They're both 2 different ways to think of the same thing. So here's the book series. It took time away from me. My time went from me to the book series. But the other way, I spent time. The time went out of me to the books. I spent time. Okay? The books took time for me. I spent time on the books. Okay? Both mean basically the same thing. Now, I did see someone use the word cost. This book series cost me 3 days. Now, cost and took are similar, but cost is negative. Cost means it's a bad thing that happened. Oh, I had to fix my windows at my house. It cost me a lot of money. So it sounds like you lost something. So if you say this book series cost me 3 days, it's the same as it took 3 days, but cost means you lost that time and you're not happy about it. Maybe you feel like you wasted your time. So be careful using the word cost, okay? So this book series took me 3 days to finish is better than cost, because hopefully you like the books. So I said 3 days to finish. You could say to finish it being the book series, okay? You could also say this another way, starting with it, talking about the situation. It took me 3 days to finish the book series, okay? That would be okay too. So starting with it took me 3 days to finish this book series. That's fine too, okay? So many different ways to say the same idea. Now, next up is 经济学是在讨论人类的本性和行为模式. So economics discusses human nature and behavioral patterns. So we learned that ICS words could be singular or plural. Here, economics means a subject that you study in school or something. So we think of it as singular, this one thing, the subject. Economics discusses, you add es because it's singular, human nature and behavioral problems. Okay? I saw someone use economy. So economy means out in the world, in the country. But if it's 经济学, it's economics. ICS means it's studying the economy. Okay? So economics discusses blah, 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 blah. Or you could say economics is the study of blah, 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 blah. Or economics is talking about blah, 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 blah. All of these are okay. Is talking about is a casual way to say it, which is fine. But when we're talking about school subjects, we might be a little more formal. So discusses or is the study of might be a little bit better if you're talking about like formal subjects. Okay, and then what does it discuss? Human nature. Human nature means the way people act. Okay, and then it's human nature. You don't need an apostrophe S or something. You don't need to say humans' natures. You don't need that. And then behavioral patterns. Now, a pattern means something people do again and again. Behavioral describes that, tells you what kind of pattern. And behavioral means about behavior, about the way people act. So behavioral patterns means the way people act all the time or again and again. So behavioral patterns is like a set phrase that you could use. You could say it different ways. You could say patterns of behavior. That's okay. Or just behaviors. You could also say behavior patterns. Behavioral is not a very common word, so sometimes people will leave off the AL. Behavioral patterns or behavior patterns. Both are okay. Okay? Now, next up is when we go to Lesson 10, Conversation 4, Part 4. This one is when we're talking about people in general, right? Using one in a formal setting, you most of the time, and they if you're talking about other people, okay? Or maybe people over there. Maybe not you, but everybody else. So our first sentence is 出社会工作会让人瞬间长大. This is true, and welcome to the real world. So entering the workforce causes one to grow up instantly or in an instant. So entering the workforce causes one to grow up in an instant. Okay, so entering the workforce. You could say this many different ways. You could say starting to work, okay? Or getting your first job, or entering the real world, okay? Entering the workforce is one way to say this. Then I say entering the workforce. This is a verb with ing, but we're using it as a noun, as the subject, which we learned a while ago. And so entering the workforce causes one to grow up instantly. Causes is the verb I use. And you could use other verbs. You could say will make or makes. Both are okay. So entering the workforce makes one grow up instantly. Just be careful. If you use makes, you don't need the word to. Makes one grow up instantly. Now, one means anyone, right? You can think of it that way. Any person out there, one person. And this is a kind of formal way to say it, to talk about people out there. You could change one to the word you. Entering the workforce causes you to grow up instantly. And that means the same thing. Doesn't mean you, it means people in general. Now, could you use they here? No, not really. Entering the workforce causes them to grow up instantly. Well, that would mean that those people over there, meaning not including the person speaking. So that doesn't work perfectly. So they can often talk about people in general, but it usually doesn't include you. But here, this idea is about everybody. So one or you is better. Okay? And to say it happened really quickly, you could say instantly, in an instant, or immediately, meaning right away. I saw someone say in a twinkling. In a twinkling could be used for really quickly or in an instant, but it's not common at all. It sounds, it works, but when I first saw it, I was like, oh, that's interesting. It sounds like something from a book. People wouldn't say in a twinkling most of the time. So there are phrases out there that mean what you're trying to say, but they're a little too fancy that you might confuse someone by using a rare phrase. It's good to know rare phrases, but sometimes they can, they're so rare that they might confuse someone. Okay. Another way to say this that I saw someone write was, one will grow up immediately once he goes to work. And that's good. But remember that when we use one, you want to keep it consistent. One will grow up immediately once one goes to work. So don't go from one to he. You could, but whatever. This is like formal. So if you want to be formal, follow the rules. One will grow up immediately once one goes to work. But you could use the word you here too. You will grow up immediately once you go to work. Okay? So using the word one in these things is very formal. So I would recommend for you guys, stick to using the word you, meaning you out there. Okay? Next is 有人说人生就像一盒巧克力，永远不知道会吃到什么口味。So maybe you know which movie this is from. It's a movie called Forrest Gump. If you don't know the movie Forrest Gump, you should check it out. It's really, really good and really famous. Forrest Gump. But the way he says it in Forrest Gump is a little bit different. Here we use they. They say life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get. So in our sentence, we say they say. Now the original, he says, my mama always said life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get. So his mama told him. My mama always said. So in Forrest Gump, he said his mama told him, but here we're talking about they. And when we use the word they, who are we talking about? Are we talking about mama? No. The they means people say, some people say. We learned about everybody says, everyone says, people say. We also learned about some people say. So using they is kind of like people say or some people say. They say life is like a box of chocolates. So again, we're comparing one thing to another thing. Life is like a box of chocolates. And then I use they say. Remember, this is talking about people out there and they say it all the time. So we want to use present simple tense, say. So I saw someone said they said, but that means it was one time in the past. And you're talking about a specific person, they said. But if we're talking about general, like people always say this, use say. They say blah, 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 blah. Okay? I also saw someone say someone. Someone says life is like a box of chocolate. Someone means one person. So someone doesn't really work here. That would mean one person out there said this. Okay? But if we want to talk about many people say it, you want to use they say. Okay? And then the second part, you never know what you're gonna get. So in the Chinese, there's the flavor, right? So you could write this as you never know what flavor you're gonna get. But in the movie, they don't add the word flavor. So it's okay if you added that. Or you could say which flavor. You never know which flavor you're gonna get. Maybe it's cherry, maybe it's caramel. I don't know. They all look the same. It's a surprise. And so in the original quote in the story, he leaves out the word flavor because life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get. This sentence can work with both things, life and chocolates. But if you add flavor, it only works with chocolates. Life doesn't really have flavors. You never know which flavor of life you get. Ooh, it's kind of funny. Do you get a sweet life or a spicy life? Ooh, okay. So, yeah, pretty good job with that one. Next up is 做任何决定前都要考虑清楚，不要太冲动. So, you should think carefully when making any decision. Don't rush into things. Another way to say this using a phrase we learned, you need to look before you leap. Don't be too rushed. Okay? So, here we use you should. Is it talking to you? No. You means people out there. Oh, all of you out there in the world. It could mean you or many, many people. You should think carefully when making any decision. I could be talking to you, but I'm talking about all people. Okay? You could use one here. You could say, one must think carefully when making any decision. So, you should is more general. One must makes it sound more important because it's more formal. Okay? And then, if you're telling someone, you can leave off the word you, right? And so somebody wrote, think carefully before blah, 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 or think carefully when blah, blah, blah. You don't need to have you should. Think carefully when making any decision. That's a command. You're telling the person they should do it. So you can have you should think carefully or just think carefully. Both are okay. And then the second part, don't rush into things or don't be too rushed. So these are two ways to say, hey, don't hurry, don't move too fast. Think, take your time, and don't rush. So some of you use the word impulsive. So impulsive is a little bit different, has a different feeling than rushed. Rush just means moving quickly and like doing things in a hurried way. Oh, gotta go, gotta go. So that's the kind of I think rush fits better here because it's just generally moving too fast. Impulsive gives the feeling that the person is changing what they do really quickly. So maybe you're trying this and then suddenly you change to something else. It's similar, but impulsive sounds like they can't decide on one thing. They like are trying to do something and then suddenly change. So there's a little bit more meaning to the word impulsive. I think rush is more general and fits better here. I did see someone use the word impetuous. So impulsive means changing too quick. Impetuous is similar, but impetuous is usually a bad thing. Oh, if somebody's impetuous, they do stuff, maybe they move quickly, but in a bad way. Maybe they hurt people along the way or say mean things. Impetuous is a bad thing. So it implies that people might get hurt. So be careful with the word impetuous. It's not very common. Okay? Next up is 想哭的时候就倒立，这样眼泪就不会流下来。It's okay. So your tears start to fall down, but you do a flip and everything's okay. So, when you want to cry, you should do a headstand. Then your tears won't fall. Okay. So a headstand is the key word here. So headstand is when you stand on your head, meaning you put your head on the ground and you put your feet up, a headstand. There's something else called a handstand. So headstand, handstand. Handstand is you're only on your hands. So 倒立 in Chinese means flip yourself, be upside down. But in English, we will use headstand or handstand. And we use the verb do with these words. So when you want to cry, you should do a headstand. So this is giving a suggestion to anybody out there. You should do a headstand. So go lean on the wall and stand on your head, okay? So some of you said something like stand on your head. That's okay, but it's better to say do a headstand. So it's an action you do. It's the name of the action. I also saw try to headstand, but it would be better to say try to do a headstand. Usually we have do with this action. I also saw someone say stand upside down. Now, I understand what you mean, and the words make sense, but it doesn't make sense in my head. If you just stand, that means your feet are on the ground. The word stand means your feet are on the ground. So stand upside down means your feet are on the ceiling. So usually, yeah, so stand upside down. I understand where you are coming from, but it doesn't work that way. Stand upside down sounds like you're standing on the ceiling or something. So do a headstand or do a handstand is what we want there. And then when we connect these two sentences, in Chinese use 这样. So you could say something like this way, blah, 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 or in this way, or by doing this. But those aren't super common in English, so it's better to just use something like then. So the connecting word can be then. First this, then this. So then your tears won't fall. I also saw people use so that. You should do a headstand so that your tears won't fall. That's good too. I use then because it just means the time. First, then next. If you use so that, it means this. Well, because this, so that this. It has a like because relationship. Okay? So they both work, but the feeling is a little bit different. And then next up is then your tears won't fall. So you can just use the word fall. I saw someone use flow. That's good too. Flow is water. So your tears flow. Okay? But then a few of you use phrasal verbs. I saw people use fall down or fall off. Now those change the meaning. Fall is just generally going down. Fall down is usually for a person. They're walking and they fall down. Tears don't really fall down. They just fall. Okay? And then fall off means something is on something and it fell off. So I could fall off my chair. Whoa! Or, yeah. But your tears don't fall off your face. That would be like they'll, whoa! That doesn't really work. So be careful of phrasal verbs. Adding the word down or adding the word off changes the meaning. So just use fall. Tears won't fall. I also saw someone say tears won't shed. Now, tears can't shed. Tears can be shed. So a person sheds tears. So be careful of using the word shed. So he shed tears, meaning the tears were coming out. So the other way would be tears won't be shed. Because a person sheds tears, tears don't shed anything, okay? So then your tears won't be shed. That's okay. Or, yeah, but basically I think stick with fall. Keep it simple sometimes, right? Okay, and then next up is Lesson 10, Conversation 4, Part 5. So this is our conversation with Bob about making a TV series, an autobiography, and reminiscing about your history and getting a little bit nostalgic. So first up is 每当听到这首歌，都让我觉得好怀念哦。Oh, this music, I feel the nostalgia. So every time I hear this song, I get so nostalgic. So every time I hear this song. You could also say whenever I hear this song, meaning each time, every time. Okay? I saw someone say, when I heard this song every time. Now, you don't need to have both of those. You could say, when I hear this song, or every time I hear this song. You don't need when and every time together. Just choose one. Okay? So every time I hear this song, I get so nostalgic. Now, nostalgic and nostalgia are very similar. Nostalgic is an adjective, and it can describe your feeling. And nostalgia is the idea of this feeling, the name of the feeling. So with the word get, you say get nostalgic with a C. With feel, you can feel either one. You could say, I feel nostalgic, or I feel nostalgia. Both are okay. But if you want to be safe, choose I see. You can use it for both. I get nostalgic. I get so nostalgic. Nostalgic means you have good feelings about the past. So if we're talking about me and my brother used to play video games together, I'm feeling nostalgic thinking about that. Like, oh, what good memories. I miss those times. Okay? So I feel nostalgic. I get nostalgic. So I saw someone say, feel the nostalgic. Now, nostalgic is the adjective, so you can't have the. If you have the, it has to be nostalgia. I feel the nostalgia. Okay? I also saw someone say, I was getting nostalgic. Remember, if you say was getting, you're talking about before, back when you heard it before, not every time. So if it's every time, use present simple tense. Okay? One other thing, I saw someone write this. Every time I hear this song, which makes me feel nostalgic all the time. Now, you are adding the word which. We learned that which can be used to describe a whole idea. But every time I hear this song is not a whole idea. That's only the beginning part. So you can't use the word which to describe that because it's not finished yet. Every time I hear this song is like a setup. Every time I hear this song, what's next? Every time I feel this song, it makes me feel nostalgic. Okay? So the song makes me feel nostalgic. Okay? So don't use the word which too often. Okay? And then at the end, you put all the time. You don't need all the time because you already said every time. Okay? So keep an eye out for that. You don't need more than one time phrase. Okay. Next up is 一直回忆过去没有意义，人应该向前看. It's pointless to constantly reminisce about the past. You should always look ahead. So we're talking about a situation in general, so we can start with it. It is. It's pointless to blah, 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 blah. So pointless means it's meaningless. So you could use meaningless also, meaning it's a waste of time. It's a waste of time. It's pointless. It's meaningless. Okay? I saw someone say it doesn't mean anything to blah, 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 blah. That's okay, but it's better to use a word like meaningless. So it's pointless to constantly reminisce about the past. So reminisce doesn't take an object. So you don't reminisce something. I saw someone say reminisce the past, but you can't reminisce something, you just reminisce. Reminisce means think about the past and have good feelings and try to remember. But you reminisce about something, okay? So it has to go with the word about. Reminisce about the past, okay? You could also use simpler words. It constantly think about the past or keep thinking about the past. That's okay too, okay? And then the second part is using what we learned in the last lesson. In general, who should do this? You. You should always look ahead, meaning people out there. You could also use one. One should always look ahead. You could also say one should always look forward. look ahead, look forward, same idea. I would probably say look ahead because look forward is often for physical, like looking forward. But if we're talking about the future, we often use ahead, look ahead to the future. Both are okay, but ahead I think is a little bit more common for the future. So, next up is 高中时有一次你在喜欢的女生面前跌倒。哦，真的好好笑哦。So, there was that time in high school when you fell down in front of a girl you liked. That was a riot. So, this is a phrase we learn in our dialogue. If you're talking about if you're remembering the past, thinking of one time, you could say, there was that time in high school, or there was that time when blah, 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 blah. So there was that time when blah, blah, blah happened. And then if you want to be more specific about the time, you could say in high school. There was that time in high school when blah, blah, blah. Or you could change it. There was that time last year when whatever. There was that time at the meeting when blah, blah, blah. Okay? So that time is talking about one time, one event. So I saw someone use there was a time. A time, it sounds bigger, like there was a time. If you're talking about history, not about one thing that happened in your life, there was a time is talking about way back in history. There was a time when people wore armor and rode horses. Or there was a time when people hunted for their food every day. Okay? So if you say there was a time, it sounds like a period of time a long time ago. Maybe a bigger period of time. But if you say there was that time, it's something that happened one time that happened in your life or your friend's life, okay? Or recently, one point of time you remember, okay? You could also use another phrase like just the word once. Once you did this, blah, blah, blah. That's totally fine too. There are many ways to say this. Okay, there was that time in high school when you fell down in front of a girl you like. Here's that phrase again, fell down. Fell down means a person goes thunk and falls down, okay? You could use the word fell, fell down, both are okay in this situation. I did see someone say fell off. Fell off what? So fell off means you're on something and then you fall off. Maybe you're on a chair and you fall off the chair. But in general, if a person's walking and goes thunk, that's they fell down, okay? There was that time in high school when you fell down in front of a girl you liked. Now, I use liked with an ED because it's in the past. It's over. That was way back in high school. You probably don't still like that girl. You probably don't have a crush on her, okay? And then you could say, somebody used the girl of your dreams. But that's a lot stronger, right? A girl you liked means you have a crush on that girl. But if it's the girl of your dreams, you're in love with that girl. You think she's perfect for you. You dream about her, okay? So it's way, way stronger, okay? And then the last part, that was really funny. You could say it that way. Oh, that was so funny. That was really funny. But we learned a phrase, that was a riot. So a riot just means something that is hilarious. Everyone's laughing. And remember, it's in the past, so that was a riot. Wow, that was a riot. That was so much fun. Okay? A question from Jean. Why is it a girl and not the girl? There was that time in high school when you fell down in front of a girl you liked. Okay. In high school, well, okay, this is the way I think of it. In high school, maybe someone likes one girl for a little while and then likes a girl for a little while, and they change the girl they have a crush on. So I use a girl because maybe there's more than one. It's a girl he liked. And then there are a lot of boys in high school that might like lots of girls. Maybe this boy, he has a crush on 2 or 3 different girls. So you could say a girl you like. If you say the, it's being specific. And that means the one girl. So when you fell down in front of the girl you like, that means the person you're talking to knows exactly who you're talking about. Okay? So the is specific, and it suggests that there was only one girl that this person liked. Okay? So if it's Bob had a crush on Jenny for all of high school. That's the girl he liked. But if Chris liked Sam and Jenny and Jesse, all 3 of them he kind of had feelings for, then you'd say a girl you liked. Okay? Does that make sense? Using the word the means the person you're talking to knows exactly who you're talking about. Another general way to think of it is the first time you mention someone, you can use a, okay? And then later when the person knows who you're talking about, you can say the. Okay? Next up is 10年真的太久了，我都记不太起来那件事了。So the other person's like, "Yee? What are you talking about? 10 years is a really long time. I can barely remember what happened." So here, 10 years has an S. But like we learned in our earlier lesson, it's a number of years, but we think of it as one thing, this lump of time. 10 years is a really long time. And this is using present simple because we're talking about this idea in general. It's generally true. 10 years is a really long time. So I saw someone use were. Now, were doesn't work. Well, first, because it's plural. 10 years, we think of it as one group of years. So 10 years is. If you were talking about past tense, you would have to use was. 10 years was a really long time. But we're talking about, in general, 10 years is long. So 10 years is long. You don't need past tense. Okay? And then, again, like we said earlier today, that in Chinese, you might say 太久了. But in English, we wouldn't use too here. We'd probably use really. It's a really long time. So some of you said it's too long. But we're not talking about waiting or anything like that. So we're just talking about that time. It's really long. Okay? You could say something, 10 years is way too long. But it's better to just say it's really long. Okay? And then, I can barely remember what happened. So I use barely. You could also use hardly. I can hardly remember what happened. And that means you can remember a little bit, but almost nothing. Like, oh, I think I remember that, but not really. Okay? I can barely remember. I can hardly remember. I saw someone say, I almost can't remember. So I almost can't remember. So it means you're close to not remembering. That's okay, but it's better to use something like hardly or barely. I can barely remember. So I almost can't remember is okay. But then someone wrote, I can't almost remember it. Now, the almost should go in front of can't. So I almost can't remember it, meaning the almost is changing the can't. If you say, I can't almost remember it, that kind of gets confusing. I cannot almost remember, meaning I'm having a hard time almost remembering it, which doesn't really make sense. You want almost to talk about can't, not almost talk about remember, okay? But basically you can stick with barely. I can barely remember. Yeah, 10 years ago, where were you 10 years ago? Ooh, I can barely remember back then. It was, well, like I said earlier today, I was here in Taiwan back then already. Oh, geez. Oh, I've been in Taiwan quite a long time. But, okay. So, let's see. I can barely remember back then. I can barely remember what happened. So, in this dialogue, we talk with Bob. I hope you feel like you got to know Bob, had some fun times with Bob, and we got to reminisce about some of your adventures with Bob and said, hey, what if we make an autobiography about you and me? We had some fun times. We did some crazy hijinks. And so some of the fun activities with Bob were like going to the night market and Bob was selling burritos. And then Bob was at a bookstore and that girl asked him for his number, right? And then there was a claw machine and Bob wanted an anime figure. And then Bob was helping you find an apartment. And Bob was helping you decide what to put in the apartment. And then Bob was trying to help you be more healthy. And he tried to hypnotize you and teach you some good ideas to follow. And then you and Bob did a lot of work on your movies and story ideas, learning about different genres of movies, settings of movies, and different ways characters change in movies. But all of this is creating good memories, and you can get nostalgic about all of the things we've done together. So I think we're pretty much done for today. This is our final stream for our homework. Oh, I'm getting nostalgic. So we've been through a lot together. So I want to say thank you to all of you. We've been doing this for a long time. Our first stream together was last April, was the beginning of this stream. So from April to February, holy moly, that's a long time. So for those of you who have joined me for a lot of these streams, or if anyone's been here for all of them, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun. I hope you guys have enjoyed it and gotten a lot out of it. Hope you feel like it's been worth it, worth all your time and effort. I put a lot of work into this. I know you put a lot of work into it. And so thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed it. Feeling nostalgic and touched. So thank you so much. I really had a lot of fun with you guys. And hopefully you guys, this is our last homework thing, but we will be having the streams for the Peidu Jihua, the guided learning plan. So all of you are totally welcome to join those and come in and ask questions, chat. And I would love to hear from some of you. And we're going to try to get more calls. We did a few here on our stream together and try to do it more often with some of the new students. And for you guys, it would be a great opportunity to practice, review what you've learned before. And yeah, hopefully you guys can join. So let me know if you have any questions or comments about any part of our course. I know this is the very end, we're in lesson 10, but any part of the course, things you really liked, things you didn't really like. I want to hear about all that. Did you have a favorite moment? Did you have a favorite character? Did you have a favorite scene? Did you have a favorite setting? I would love to know, do you feel like you had a favorite lesson? Or were certain things really good to learn? Or you want to learn more about different things? Did you like learning the grammar? Did you like the way you learned the grammar? Did you feel like things were useful, effective, and helpful? I would love to hear more from you guys. So I just want to say thank you so much to everybody. And maybe we'll save the live calls on the stream for next week when we start our Peidu Jihua. And I would love for some of you guys to join and give me a call. I will be answering questions from students, but I would love to have a question, a call, a question, a call. And so if you're there, that would help a lot. So I'll stick around for a little bit. If any of you would like to chat with me one-on-one today, I'll be around for a few more minutes. So send me a message at Kyle Moai, and then you're more than welcome to join the streams. It's going to be every Thursday at 8 o'clock going forward. So join us Not next week, because that's Chinese New Year, but next week on Thursday. Okay? So thank you so much, everybody. It's been a long journey, and you did great. You did awesome. Thank you so much for joining. It's been a lot of fun, and it's been great to get to know some of you. So thank you so much. And hopefully I'll see you guys at the guided learning plan streams. I'd love to see you check in. Ask me some questions. Any burning questions that I never answered. Okay? And I'll try to use ideas from the lessons and ask questions of you. And check in on our cappuccino. I know some of you in our chat haven't been recording cappuccinos. That's okay, but I would love if you tried. So let's call it for today. Let's end it for today. So thank you so much, everybody. It's been a long journey. Great job. You're doing great. Thank you for joining. I'll see you soon. And hopefully I'll see you at our next stream in a little while. Okay? Have a good night, everyone, and see you.